Hopefully my phone has enough juice in it, and we'll get started as soon as I open up this thing. All right, and let's get started in 3, 2, 1. What is up? Thank you for taking the time to listen to the podcast episode of The Talking Block on YouTube. Talking Block Live. Applause. Yes, we are back with another week. And hopefully we do better this week, because if you've seen on TikTok, you would know that I've been talking about time management and how I try to beat crunch time so that I'm not crawling up in a corner crying during crunch time. Last week, we were terrible at it. I don't think I posted that video until late Sunday night, early Monday morning, possibly like 12 a.m. So we're going to try to avoid that this week. Okay. I just thank you for taking time to sit down and chat with me. Still working on a earlier transition. I know that we got poem of the day, news, and then topic of the day, black news. So I'm still trying to figure out whether we want to do question of the day, riddles of the day. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I will say that if we can, once we get to the point where we got a lot of listeners, a lot of viewers, we could do daily podcast updates, keeping you guys up to date what's going on in the podcast. But we'll see. That comes in time. But for right now, we're just going to do poem of the day and so on and so forth. So poem of the day today comes from William Shakespeare. Real simple, real easy, because I'm not doing a whole bunch of deep dive poetry today. Okay? All right. And the poem goes like this. It also has no title. Let me include that too. Be not afraid of greatness. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. That is William Shakespeare. Like I said, real simple, real sweet, real easy, because we're not doing all that deep dive poetry today. If you don't know about William Shakespeare was a renowned English poet, playwright, and actor born in 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon. His birthday is most commonly celebrated on April 23rd, which is also believed to be the date that he died in 1616. Shakespeare was a prolific writer during the Elizabethan and Jacobean ages of British theatre, sometimes called the English Renaissance or the early modern period. Shakespeare's plays are perhaps his most enduring legacy, but they're not all he wrote. Shakespeare's poems are also remain popular today. Shakespeare's poems also remain popular to this day. If you don't know who William Shakespeare is, some of his works are Hamlet, Romeo and Juliet, Macbeth, things like that. He's also well known for his sonnets. If you don't know what a sonnet is is broken into quarters, or 4 stanzas in this case. And it has a pattern. It goes A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, G, G. Yeah. And basically the A lines rhyme, B lines rhyme, C lines rhyme, D lines rhyme, E lines rhyme, F lines rhyme, G lines rhyme. And that's that. Poem of the day is meant to get the brain juice flowing, because some of us watch in the morning when we have to wake up early and we need something to help us think. At the same time, some of us go to bed at night and we just want a little brain teaser. And then there's those that watch us during the day because their boss is annoying them and they just need a brain teaser. Or you're a kid at school, and I hope that you're doing the work at the same time watching this, and you just want a little brain teaser during your time at school or whatever you're doing before you wake up. Blah, 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 blah. But the point of this poem, like I said, real simple, real sweet. I will say that I believe that everybody watching this, and me myself, we are all three. It says people are born great, achieve greatness, or have greatness thrust upon them. And not to say that anybody that's not watching doesn't, but when you break this poem down, I honestly believe if that was the case, we'd all be living lavishly. We'd all have mansions, all that jazz, private islands, and that's not the case. But I'm speaking into existence that as a neighborhood, the TTB Toast to Becoming, us as a family, we have all three. Because when you think about it, if you're born great, not everybody lives up to that greatness. Some of us achieve greatness. Is that achievement of success and greatness profound throughout the life that you've lived? Do you continue to achieve that success and greatness? Not always. And some of us have greatness thrust upon them. That might be the case, but do you awaken that greatness all the time? Absolutely not. So that's why I say that us watching, and me myself, we have all three, because I'm just speaking to the existence that we have all three. But at the same time, not everybody has all three. Okay? All right. So make sure that you live up to your greatness. Make sure that you're always doing great things. If you're not, that's all right, because sometimes we have to fail. And in order to become great, there's a lot of fails in that process. But that is William Shakespeare. That is poem of the day. One last time. Be not afraid of greatness. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon. Now, on to the topic of the day. ESPN on the Talking Block. One more time, applause. That is right. We are on ESPN on Talking Block. Man, this week was something different. About every team that I picked lost, and it was absolutely upsetting. We're just gonna get right into it, because starting with the Bills and the Dolphins. So we're gonna do a point system again, but it's already up there because I recorded this once before, and the audio did not work like I wanted it to. So we got to record this again. But we resulted in 6 points in total. With starting with the first point, Bills versus the Dolphins. I get that point because I said the Bills were going to win. And I do want to let you guys know I am not an ESPN worker, because if I was, ESPN reporter, because if I was, I would not be here. At the same time, not a critical sports analyst, and I'm not a rich person, so I don't have all the streaming networks to watch every game. So most of the games that I covered today, all the games I covered today, most likely saw them on YouTube from the highlights on the NFL channel. Okay, all right, just want to let you guys know that. But Bills versus the Dolphins. Josh Allen, he's got his revenge story coming. Josh Allen is looking great. James Cook, running back for that team, looking great. Was just yard after yard after yard. A pick six by Ingram, number 46. That's what set them up for their win, honestly. And then Allen, I would say that Allen is proving that he doesn't need Diggs. Allen is proving that he does not need Diggs. At the same time, Stephon Diggs is proving that he doesn't need Allen either. But more so on the Allen side, because many people are like, oh, what is Allen going to do when Diggs leaves? Now that Diggs is gone, what does Allen have? Allen said, we got a lot of people, and me, myself included. So Allen is coming through. On the Dolphins side, not much happened on the Dolphins side. I would say Tua's concussion was the biggest thing that happened in that game. And many people are like, is Tua going to retire, such and such? Tua's not going to retire. He said that himself. But at the same time, I understand why. Because it's a love-hate relationship with the sport. And I know that track athletes can agree. When you're at practice, there's so many times that you say you're going to quit, and then there's that one practice that just kills you, whether it be the practice itself, you're not in the mood, coach seems to be annoying, and you're just like, okay, yeah, that's it, I'm going to quit. You tell everybody, okay, you're never seeing me again, and then show up the next day. That's what it is with Tua. I think it's just, it's that strong love, but at the same time, that hate that slips in sometimes. You're just like, I can't quit. And Tua said he can't quit. So we just hope that the right precautions are taken so that Tua doesn't end up in a terrible spot. Because if you saw that game, you would see that he had metacarpals in his fingers. His fingers were just looking. So hopefully, next game come around, if Tua plays, he has the right protection and all that. O-line, offensive line, and helmet-wise too. Next game, Vikings versus the 49ers. This game shocked me. I mean, I know the Vikings are good, and I've been saying the Vikings are good, but like they didn't have to be that good. Sam Darnold, man, oh man, was he looking good that game. Darnold Jefferson made a 97-yard touchdown. It was just ugh. And the Vikings defense was on top of Purdy like crazy. Purdy couldn't stop throwing in. If I could speak today. Purdy just couldn't stop throwing interceptions. It was interception after interception after interception. Jalen Nader. At this point, I'm about to stop recording and just start over. Jalen Naylor was looking amazing for the Vikings. I will say that out of the 49ers that game, Jordan Mason was able to throw some numbers on his stats for that game. So, yeah, Vikings came out with the win. Patriots versus Seahawks. That's a point to me because I said the Seahawks were going to win. We'll work with that later. Just keep in mind all the points that I have on the board, okay? All right. Patriots versus Seahawks. Hunter Henry for the Patriots, tight end. He was looking good. Antonio Gibson, running back, was looking good also. On the Seahawks side of it, Seahawks defense was not letting anything go. They even got a punt block. The game ended up going into overtime, and they won by a field goal, 23-20. And that's all I got for the Seahawks versus the Patriots. I will say that Geno Smith, he's looking good this season. When we get to the end, I have a TTB's top 10 plays list, and DK Metcalf is also up there. But DK Metcalf and Geno Smith, beautiful play. Then it resulted in a touchdown. Commanders versus the Giants. That's a point for me. So far, we're up 3 points because I did say that the Commanders were going to win. O-line was looking iffy at first, but they came through. Brian Robinson Jr. was MVP of that game for the Commanders, running back for that game, running back for that team. Devin Singletary, running back for the Giants, was looking good. Malik Neighbors, wide receiver, he got MVP. Any pass that was thrown to him, he caught it. And if he didn't, we'll let it slide. Daniel Jones, I think after last week and seeing the fans booing him, throwing stuff at him, he something woke in him. Granted, he still lost, but he looked a lot better from last game. Red zone, that's what tore the both of these teams up. Is the Commanders just got it together last minute and they were able to succeed in the red zone, but as for both teams, it was just like red zone territory. They couldn't get anything done, and yeah. That's what I got for that game. Chargers versus the Panthers. Chargers won 26, Panthers won 3. I will say this. Bryce Young is a good player. He really is. It's just the offensive line is terrible and they're not protecting him whatsoever. Like, you see what he did in Ohio State. And I know some people say don't focus on the past, but focus on the present. But at the same time, you got to focus on the past to know why he's looking the way that he is now. Bryce Young was looking amazing when he was in college. So for this season and last season, it really just comes down to the O-line and just not protecting him. Defense wasn't wrapping up, and that's why so many of the Chargers were just able to get by, like J.K. Dobbins, running back, just getting yard after yard. But I will say the Panthers, Hubbard, running back for that team, he got a good play. I mean, he got numbers on his stats too. That's what I got for the Panthers versus the Chargers. Colts versus the Packers. That's a point for me. We're up 4 points. I did say the Packers were going to win. Malik Willis was out there. Jordan Love, I don't know why he wasn't playing, but Malik Willis, QB for that game, was looking good, making play after play after play after play. Josh Jacobs, running back for that team, just making yard after yard after yard. I will say that the Colts, defense was just giving room for the Packers to run, and it seemed like they couldn't do nothing. Jonathan Taylor, though, running back for that team, again, he made a name for himself that game, put some numbers on his stats. Browns versus the Jags. I still believe the Browns suck, but obviously the Jaguars stuck even more because the Browns were the ones to put the first points on the board. Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver for the Browns, was looking good. I will say the only thing that came out of the Jags was Etienne Jr., running back. He obviously took MVP that game. He's the reason why I believe that the Jags were able to get points on the board, is because he was just trailing the yards and getting Jags yards. That's all I can say for that. Jets versus the Titans. Last week, I forgot about the Raiders versus the Chargers. Didn't know that game was going on. This week, I forgot about the Jets versus the Titans. Didn't know that was going on. So I don't have much to say, but I will say that Aaron Rodgers looking good. Breece Hall, running back for that team. Aaron Rodgers, him connecting real nice. Jets won 24-17. The Jets got a punt block, and I feel like that's what set the tone for the game. But I will say, Harold Landry, the third linebacker was looking good. Calvin Ridley, wide receiver for that team, he's also on TTB's top 10 playlist. He's actually, I believe he's at least in the top 5 because he had a beautiful catch. Tony Pollard, running back for that team, also was looking good that game. And that's all I got for the Titans versus the Jets. Buccaneers versus the Lions, a shocking game to watch. But Baker Mayfield, he's another one that's coming out with his revenge story. Anytime Chris Godwin got the ball, Chris Godwin took it and got his yards. O-line coverage was amazing. They were giving Baker Mayfield a lot of time to run, a lot of time to throw. But on the defensive side, although that the Lions lost, Aiden Hutchinson got 5 sacks that game. The Lions did a beautiful punt fake pass that got them some yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown and David Montgomery, I think they get MVP because they took it. Anytime they got the ball, they made sure that the Lions got yards. And I will say that they were working hard to try and get back into the winning spot, but Buccaneers defense was just not letting it happen. Raiders versus the Ravens. I don't know what to say about this game. Isaiah Likely wasn't a lot for the Ravens. At the same time, defense was just iffy. I mean, I don't know what it was, but defense was just looking iffy. They're now 0-2, so I don't know what to say. Devontae Adams, though, was looking good. Brock Bowers, tight end. He's the reason. I feel like he's the reason why the Raiders got such a good game. He was just looking amazing. And then Max Crosby on defensive side, although he wasn't getting sacks, he was still breaking plays like nothing. So he was looking good. And that's all I got for the Raiders versus the Ravens. The next game, Rams versus the Cardinals. I don't even want to talk about it because, last week I said if the Rams were to lose, it's because they lost their marbles. They literally lost their marbles. Like they had the bag in their hand. They either dropped it or I don't know what happened, but I literally have nothing to say about the Rams. But the Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Murray, very beautiful connections. It was like anytime they needed the ball, Harrison got it and got the yards. Buda Baker, safety for that team, was breaking up every play he could break up. Like literally anytime the ball was on one side of the field, Buda Baker could have been on the other side and somehow ended up on the other side of the field and broke up that play. James Conner, running back for that team, he was in the end zone, ran out the end zone, and ended up saving a fumble, which could have resulted in a touchdown. Like, what? It's crazy. He wanted a touchdown, fumbled it, saved that fumble. Crazy. Trey McBride was also good for that team. I was looking good on that week. I wish I could speak. Give me 2 seconds and we'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. Bengals versus the Chiefs. This game was good. Tight ends seemed to be getting a lot of attention for the Bengals. Andre Estavas, wide receiver for the Bengals. He's gonna be something to mess with this season. What set the Bengals up for failure was things like Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase caught the ball. He wanted a flag, so he goes to the ref, talks to the ref, starts blowing up the ref. Ref lets it slide, but then Jamar Chase is like, "You not understand what I'm putting down." So Jamar Chase goes back to the ref. Ref ends up throwing the flag, unsportsmanlike conduct. It got to the point where Joe Burrow was like, "Hey, you need to calm down because yeah." And I think that was the play where they were in field goal range. Jamar Chase decides to get that flag, gets out of field goal range, but they end up getting back in field goal range. Powerhouse Pacheco for the Chiefs, man, and Rashee Rice, those two. You didn't see a lot of Travis Kelce, you didn't see a lot of Xavier Worthy. So I think that this game was a lot of run game stuff, and they Pacheco and Rashee Rice, they set that up. Wanyama, I don't know how to say his name. Wanyama Morris, big man play. He made a touchdown. What set the Chiefs up for the win was during the last seconds of the game. Mahomes throws the ball. They end up in the red zone. Something happens downfield. I think it was a face mask. So they end up getting a penalty. They have to replay that down. And now they're out of the red zone. Next play, Mahomes throws the ball. Now there's a flag on the Bengals. The Bengals end up helping the Chiefs push forward. And then after that, it was just Patrick Mahomes delaying time, not necessarily like holding the ball or anything, but running the ball, knocking down the clock to where it got to 3 seconds. And, you know, the Chiefs kicker took it in for the win, 26-25. But I will say, that is a win for me, but I did want Joe Burrow to win, and he was so close. I'm glad I picked the Chiefs, because that would not have been a point for me. I'm lost at how many points we have. After the board fell, actually, let's do something real quick. We got 2 points. Let's backtrack real quick. Commanders. This. I got the Bills point, correct. 49ers, no. I got the Seahawks point. I got the Commanders point. I also got the Chargers point. I got the Packers point. I got the Chiefs. And we're up 6 points right now. Steelers versus the Broncos. Not much to say about that. TJ Watt was leading the defense. And the Broncos, I just have nothing to say. I will say that I don't know why they have Bo Nix playing. Because Zach Wilson was looking good preseason. And then they put Bo Nix in. And it was just like, what? I mean, Bo Nix is good. He was looking good with Oregon. But compared to Zach Wilson during preseason, I don't know why they put Bo Nix in. But that's all I got for that. Steelers won 13-6. Thought the Broncos were going to win. Obviously not. The Bears versus the Texans. That's a point for me. So now we're up 7. Caleb Williams he's a good quarterback. He still looks good. It's just the offensive line. They didn't want to give him time to play at all. Couldn't find any time a receiver was open. It was because Caleb Williams just didn't have enough time to see that, and he had to dump the ball. DeAndre Swift, who previously was on the Eagles, was looking good. Caleb Williams got sacked 7 times, hit 11 times. It was just crazy. Texan defense, though, they were on it. CJ Stroud making play. Joe Mixon's and Nico Collins, MVPs again last week, MVPs again this week. Texans ended up winning 19-13. I will say that if somebody posted, I'm not sure if it was like a sports channel or somebody else, but they posted what Caleb Williams looks like with the Bears now compared to what Justin Fields looked like, because they were both tired, taking a deep breath, and it was because Justin Fields didn't have an offensive line to protect him. Caleb Williams doesn't have an offensive line to protect him. The only difference between Caleb Williams and Bryce Young is Caleb Williams is a little bit more of a playmaker than Bryce Young is, and that's why I think he's not as tired. But yeah. Last game, Falcons versus the Eagles. Bijan Robinson was looking good. Kirk Cousins, like I said, he just had to warm up, get used to the team, and connect with them, and he did that. Granted, what set the Eagles up for failure was when, and he admitted it too, when what's his name? Running back. Former New York Giants running back. I can't get his name. Let's go back real quick. Take a minute. Where's it at? Looking for it. Actually, no, they were the first game that week. That's why. Saquon Barkley, there we go. Saquon Barkley, he had dropped a third down pass, and that's what set the Eagles up for failure. But otherwise, O-line is looking good. They were giving Hurts lots of time to throw, lots of time to run, and nobody can stop the tush push. The Falcons tried, but they just could not stop the tush push. But the Falcons did up winning 22-21. So that's everything as for the games. to come to TTB's top 10. Oh, such some beautiful plays. Coming in at number 10 was Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels, although he didn't get a first down, there was one play where he was showing his strength as a quarterback. Coming in at number 9 was the Chiefs field goal. I think it wasn't a lot, it wasn't a big thing, but I think it was still a good play as for how they strategically played that way. Coming in at number 8 was the Broncos trick play. Beautiful trick play against the Steelers. Coming in at number 7, Usachek, I don't know how to say his name, but he had a beautiful toe tap. Coming in at number 6 was Brian Robinson Jr.'s. It was one run. I can't even think about it right now, but I know I wrote it down because it was a beautiful run by Brian Robinson Jr. Coming in at number 5, DK Metcalf's touchdown from Geno Smith. Coming in at number 4 was Darnold to Jefferson's touchdown pass, 97 yards. Coming in at number 3 was CeeDee Lamb slips 2 defenders. It was a beautiful little and then number 2 was Bengals one-handed interception. Coming in at number 1 was Calvin Ridley, that wide receiver for the Titans. And that's TTB's top 10 for the ESPN on the Talking Block. Next week comes week 3, and we got some beautiful teams coming up. I made sure to get every last team up here so I didn't forget anybody. We got Patriots versus the Jets. I'm giving it to the Jets. Giants versus the Browns. Giants suck. Giving it to the Browns. Eagles versus the Saints. Honestly, Saints look good, but I'm giving it to the Eagles. Texans versus the Vikings. That's going to be a good game, but I'm going to give it to the Texans. Broncos versus the Buccaneers. Buccaneers. Packers versus the Titans. Packers. Bears versus the Colts. Giving it to the Bears. I mean, Richardson, Pierce, I think they're ready to go, but I think I'm going to give faith to Caleb Williams. I think that the Bears got it. Chargers versus Steelers. I'm giving it to the Steelers. Dolphins versus Seahawks. Seahawks. Panthers versus the Raiders. Easy. Raiders. 49ers versus the Rams. As much as I love my Rams, they're just not looking good yet, so I'm gonna give it to the 49ers. Lions versus the Cardinals. Give it to the Lions. Ravens versus the Cowboys. I'm gonna give it to the I'm gonna give it to the Ravens. Chiefs versus the Falcons. Chiefs all the way. Jaguars versus the Bills. Like I said, Josh Allen is on his revenge tour. I'm giving it to the Bills. Raiders versus the Bengals. Last game. I'm giving it to the Bengals. And that is everything on ESPN for the Talking Block. Last but not least, coming to the last 2 segments of the podcast, let's talk about what's going on in the world, what's going on. News time.
Audio Jungle.
We're actually going to stay local. A woman charged in the case of a deed to $4 million North Carolina home switch without the homeowner's knowledge. In Raleigh, North Carolina, Wake County, Dawn Mangum is accused of obtaining property by false pretense. She was focused on, she likes to take homes that are up for foreclosure and just kind of fine tune them. Craig Adams is the homeowner. So what happened was Mangum went to the Register of Deeds office and said, hey, this is up for foreclosure. I want to sign this to my name. And that's what they did. The problem is the deeds office, they don't verify that the notary is accurate or real. And they don't verify the information that is provided by the person that is trying to change the name. So really what just happened is all Mangum had to do was send the papers to the deeds office. The office said, cool, check it, put that name on the list, and we're good. Coming to find out that although Craig did admit that there was foreclosure on the listing, he was still paying mortgage and all that. And then coming to find out, Craig Adams, he has to pay $8,000 to get a civil attorney just so that the deeds office can do any more action to change the name back to Craig Adams. Because from my understanding of what it says right here by the office, the Registers of Deeds office taking the situation very seriously and is committed to assisting the homeowner in any way possible within the scope of the law. In North Carolina law, registers of deeds are statutorily obligated to accept and immediately register documents interconfirmed with the GS 161-14. The Register of Deeds is not required to verify the legal validity of a deed when it is presented for registration, nor are they required to verify the credentials or legal standing of the notary or drafter of the document GS 47-14. With more than 500 documents processed through the Wake County Register of Deeds office daily, it would be impossible to verify the legitimacy of each document or the credentials of each notary, nor does the Register of Deeds office have access to the database of Commission North Carolina notaries who check against. Register of Deeds staff are not attorneys and are explicitly barred from giving legal advice or from acting as an attorney and verifying a document. As soon as the Register of Deeds office became aware of the fraudulent deed, it altered the tax administration office that no tax information for the property should be changed. Register of Deeds staff also immediately notified and is working with the Wake County Sheriff's Office. The homeowner was also encouraged to file a police report. The Wake County Register of Deeds office offers a free fraud alert system when the documents are recorded with a name that is being monitored. The property owner will be immediately notified that an action has taken place on their property. In this particular situation, the homeowner's name was not included as the drafter of the grantor or grantee on the document, so the alerts were not triggered. The document also hasn't been indexed in the homeowner's name. Yeah, so basically, the office can't do anything, and that's where that comes to play. So what? Down here it says, what can you do to prevent this from happening? You should check with your county's Register of Deeds office and figure out if you can sign up for fraud alerts. Fraud alerts won't stop the deed transfer from happening, but it will notify you immediately after anything is recorded, and that involves your name. That will at least ensure that you are notified and stop something more from happening. That's what that sounds like. Is no matter what happens, you can't stop somebody from listing their name on your home. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, I will say I don't know all the specifics into this, so granted it might be a little different in some places. I will say that this possibly could be because they live in an HOA home area. Who knows? I don't know the case, but I will say that needs to be figured out, because for somebody to just come in and swoop their house like that, yeah, no way. But that's all I got for the news. As for what's going on in the black community, Aces Aja Wilson, first to score 1,000 points in a single season. Las Vegas forward Aja Wilson became the first player in the WNBA history to hit the 1,000-point mark for a season Sunday in the Aces' 84-71 victory over Connecticut. When Wilson hit a 1,000-point on the dot with a fadeaway jump shot with 1 minute and 57 seconds left, teammates and the crowd at Nicoleb Ultra Arena celebrated with Wilson, who was overwhelming favorite for the 2024 WNBA MVP award. Right here it says, Wilson said, I really tried to pinpoint little things. Everyone can come in and say, oh, I want to win a championship. But what are the little things you're going to do to get to that point? That's what I want to be great for. I really have to credit my off-season work and preparation. I take the time to get away from basketball and let me miss it. So when I am in it, I don't take it for granted. My screensaver is rest at the end, not in the middle. And that's something I tell myself every single day. I got work to do, and that's going to be my mindset until I'm done playing, until I've squeezed everything out of it. Wilson has been playing with the Aces and only the Aces for 7 years. She's well deserving of it. She's a beautiful player. Love watching her. I won't lie. I got into the WNBA because of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and then I found Aja Wilson, and she is now one of my favorites. So yeah. But that's all I got for the black news. And that's all I got for this podcast episode. I will tell you that this is my second time recording, because the first time when I plugged it in, it has a default setting, which is karaoke. And that's where it sounds like this. And I was like, absolutely not. So yeah, had to re-record everything. That's also why my energy is a little low, because all the initial energy that was in the first video. Sometimes you just can't remake things, and that's just what happens. But I did my best. But as for the podcast, I think it went well smoothly. From talking about me getting this out by Thursday, as long as my editing skills be on fleek and me not getting the crunch time. To poem of the day, we'll read it one more time because it's so simple to read. Be not afraid of greatness. Some are born to be great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust in them by William Shakespeare. To me not being able to talk this whole podcast episode. To topic of the day, talking about NFL, ESPN on the Talking Block, top 10, TTB's top 10 plays, what we expect next week, who I think is going to win. To the news, Craig Adams end up getting his home taken from him out of his name by I don't think I said the first name, Don Mangum, who just said, hey, this is up for foreclosure, so I'm going to take it from your hands. Turning to find out, although it did have foreclosure, he was still paying the mortgage and all that jazz. And what you can do to prevent that from happening to you. To Ajay Wilson being the first woman to score in the WNBA 1,000 points. I'd like to thank you for taking time to watch. Be sure to listen to the podcast episodes audio-wise on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your audio podcasts from. Stay here on Talkin'Block Live on YouTube. Follow my Instagram at TheTalkin'Block. Follow my TikTok, toast.2.becoming. And just stay here and support. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Be sure to be checking out what's going on in the podcast. And that's all I got. Thank you for taking time to watch. And I will see you guys next week.